Welcome to the Conversations with Gacheni podcast. It's the second episode. I hope we are improving as time goes by, but it's still early stages. Gacheni alone, Nondela Umamali, I'm the host, and I'm with my co-host, Unombulelo.
Morning, guys. Lima Mbamba, Onombulelo.
The first one, in fact, this is the second take. The first one, to catch Unombulelo refused in fact, introducing herself at large. Today, guys, in fact, before we proceed, I would like to give thanks to everybody who was watching the first episode. So today we're dealing with Isithunywa and mental illness. So those are the two topics, and both topics are sensitive topics. A lot of people are battling to understand this tunnel, and some are experiencing depression and anxiety and all other things, and in the name of spirituality in Lozomoi. So that's what we're dealing with today. Is tunnel.
Yeah, it is a very tricky topic because there's a lot of confusion around it.
No, there's a lot, and there are a lot of methodologies, and some people they get misled, especially on social media. Sometimes you look at the comment sections and you're like, shit, okay, this is really misleading. But yeah, we're not the gospel at the end of the day. All we are sharing it's knowledge. We are sharing educational things so that when now at home you can take whatever you take that is suitable for you and that you deem fit for you and you can run with it in order to enhance umoya wako apagame. So what is this tunywa? Now, before we begin, that question alone, the wording alone, the terminology is tunywa. Isithunywa, the translation of Isithunywa is the messenger.
Yes.
That's what that word means. The messenger is Tunywa. It's the same as Cyril Ramaphosa ati tumamina. Yeah, uthunyiwe, you've been sent. So now, who sent you? That's the question.
Yes.
So where does that word Isithunywa derives from? Where does it come from? For me, the word Isithunywa is new in our language as African people. And that word came with the Bible. It came with the Christian gospel. Because of before that word, the word is we didn't name Isithunywa. There was Isithunywa, but due to evolution, things changed. It's not like Isithunywa is not new, but because of now the introduction of the gospel and other things, we have adopted, we have evolved. So Isithunywa is the messenger. Isithunywa is the ancestor that died believing in God, whether you are believing in Allah or Buddhism, etc., but you believed in the Holy God, as in the Bible scriptures, whether you use Quran or whatever, it's irrelevant because we should not limit Isithunywa. Isithunywa, it's not Christian per se. Christianity is a methodology. It's how you channel Isithunywa Sako to connect. Some people, they have Muslim ancestors. They have Isithunywa, they're Muslim. So how they channel Isithunywa Zabo and enhance Isithunywa Zabo, they use the Quran. So I don't want people to say you do not box Isithunywa. And some people can channel Isithunywa. In fact, we're gonna cover all of that because some people they can channel Isithunywa Sabo without the Bible, but we'll cover that. But Isithunywa in essence is a messenger. It's an ancestor that died believing in God, and now when that ancestor comes into your life, he comes as Isithunywa. So there are two different ancestors: those who were into herbs, who were into hunting, and then there were those who loved Hlombe lecawa. Elaa Hlombe lecawa lilo elibenza babe zizithunywa.
But then can we also say, because for me, I've always thought which is Isithunywa is also, it doesn't necessarily have to be a family member or an ancestor that passed away believing in God, but it can just be an angel, if you can say, that is directly
I think for me,
gifting you that prophetic gift, is it not?
no, I hear you, but I think at the end of the day, it's terminology. Because some people don't say we have a guardian angel.
Yeah.
Some people will say we have Isithunywa. Some people, that's why I'm coming from, we have some people will say I have a prophetic gift.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a prophet. Now, some people will wonder then, why is Isithunywa the same as Ubu prophet?
Because it's not the same.
Is it the same as a
the
guardian angel? Isithunywa is the same as Ubu prophet. The prophetic gift is Isithunywa, Ubu prophecy, it's Isithunywa. Yeah, it's just a terminology. Some people will say you have a prophetic gift or you are a prophet. But the prophet is Isithunywa. It's just a terminology.
Okay.
Yeah, so a guardian angel can be two things or many things. If a guardian angel can be Isithunywa, it can be your ancestor. But in essence, a guardian angel is an ancestor. How we differentiate it? We differentiate with methodology. Because of Idlozi, it uses herbs, Isithunywa uses his wash. But in essence, a guardian angel is Isithunywa. Now, let's go back when we were kids, even the movies we were watching. You will see, for instance, a guardian angel, when we're watching a movie, we see this white person wearing a white dress with wings, basically. Yeah. And then our mind is programmed to say it's a guardian angel. But in essence, this is a reality. A guardian angel is an ancestor. It can be Isithunywa, it can be Idlozi.
But I like how you also say it depends on the terminology, because within our languages, we didn't have a word for an angel.
We didn't.
Our people would say Idlozi, they would define it as your guardian angel. Even Ingelosi is a word that came way after the introduction of Christianity.
Because all this terminology, Ingelosi, Isithunywa, they came with the Bible came with a language on its own.
Yeah.
Text. It redefined it text. That's how now when you look at back in the day, in fact, during slavery and apartheid and all of that stuff, how they described traditional healers that are herbalists, they used the word witch doctor. And that is not our word. We have never, as Africans or traditional healers, named ourselves as witch doctors. But it was that Eurocentric gaze, that European perspective, whereby, because even that word alone, it came with it came with the West, or it came with modernity, or with people who are more Eurocentric, whereby they needed to tone down our importance in society. So how do then they invent what? They invent witch doctor. And then when we hear witch doctor, already there's a negative connotation. Mm-hmm. But we're not witch doctors. We are traditional healers, or we are herbalists, etc. Exactly. Basically, we are traditional doctors. Naturally, we use natural medicine. So the reason I'm making an example with the term witch doctor, it goes hand in hand with the word Isithunywa, the word prophet, the word with Ingelosi. All those terminologies, they came with the West. They are Eurocentric. It's not us Africans defining ourselves.
In actual fact, I think with our spirituality, it's very hard to define certain things.
Especially using a foreign language.
It's very hard.
Because English is a foreign language.
And a lot of things get lost in translation because they lose their meaning as we translate it into English.
Definitely.
So now that you said Isithunywa and prophet is pretty much the same thing, would we then say Isithunywa also mixes with traditional healing? Or how does it mix with traditional healing?
What's your take?
I mean, if for us, we've always used Isithunywa, right, but called it Idlozi or a different name in other indigenous languages, then it means we've always made use of this gift.
Yes.
Right? So in our traditional healing ways, we've always made use of it, just not as defined with Christianity as it is right now. Okay. So for me, it mixes because we've always had this gift.
I think to be safe, one, it's a good question what you're raising, because a lot of people, they are confused by Isithunywa or a church. How does a church mix with traditional healing or African cultures? It's foreign. And some black consciousness activists will question that. But when we being spiritual, Isithunywa is an ancestor. Is an ancestor. That guardian angel we call Isithunywa or a prophet is an ancestor. So let's say, let me make it very clear. Let's say me and Lorna are brothers. Now Lorna passes away and it comes back to your life as Isithunywa. I pass away, I come back into your life as Idlos.
Okay.
We are both the same, but the difference is we are gifted differently. The methodology we use to heal is different. Lorna is using candles, prayer, water, etc.
Yeah.
Me, I use prickly herbs, chickens, and other things.
I like a chicken.
But
I'm scared of chicken.
But the matter is, it's one thing. So Isithunywa, it does mix with traditional healing because little was there. Now, at the end of the day, when you work, they complement each other. If you have Isithunywa, whoever or Twasisayo needs to help you with Isithunywa first and help you with Unda.
But now that's a very interesting point, Mom, to whoever Twasisayo.
Yes.
So does that mean Uti Sitwasa is Isithunywa, Sitwase Nedlozi? Or Isithunywa is there a difference between Ukhulisa Isithunywa noma? I hear a lot, but Paramisa, but it's a Paramisa.
Paramisa, yes, and
then Twasa or Twasisa
Idlos. Kalobune, when you have Isithunywa, you and Unda. The problem is with society. You go to a healer that has Undawa on and you go for consultations. Now, when you go there, that healer will help you through his own knowledge and experience. So, uzamtwasisa without actually taking time first to fix his tumasako or parameters tumasako. Then you pass Undawa and you go back home and your things are stuck. You are depressed. In fact, they become worse than white. Than before you went to initiation school to Twasa. So now what do? You don't understand. Kandi, that Sangoma was supposed to help you enhance Isithunywa, then once Isithunywa is sorted, Undawa follows. That's how it is. Isithunywa, you fix Isithunywa first, then what follows? Undawa. You don't start with Undawa and go Isithunywa after. Yes, it happens now because of Abanyabandu, they get it wrong. Yeah. Even when you're doing justice ceremony, it's ceremony, you need to start with Isithunywa and go with Umdawa. I remember I went to Edukwa, I think it was a year ago or 2 years, to do Umsebenzi Umdawa. And we were meant to slaughter a goat Saturday. Friday, in fact, Thursday, Isithunywa came into existence and said, Kajeni, you need to do my part first on a Friday. You need to start it. You need to do Isithunywa, and then Saturday you do Umdawa. Now, within that communication, and sisters of, it's a good friend of mine, and sisters that Tina were Methodists. So now we have nothing to do with traditional healers. So we want you to open a Methodist sermon first, before even Isithunywa. And we don't want Mbeko, we don't want anything that has to do with Isithunywa, we don't want candles. We just want a Methodist sermon. People will sing those songs, we will open a verse, then we will do what we do. I was shocked. And when I'm dreaming about these guys, they're in the garden, and I didn't even know that in that family, the graveyard was in the garden.
Nice, that's so beautiful.
So when I woke up, I said, hey guys, your late great-grandfathers, were they Methodist members? And they said, no, they were Methodist.
Yeah.
Where are they buried? And they said in the garden. And my dream, it was in the garden. So I had to start with a church service, a Methodist church service. Then after Isithunywa. So as much as you have Isithunywa, it doesn't mean all your ancestors, they belong there. Even those who are into a church, who are into the gospel, it doesn't mean they are aligned with Isithunywa. Some they still prefer their own churches. and you have to respect each and every ancestor. Isithunywa, Umdawa, you have to respect those abakhonza differently than when I'm in a different service.
Mm-hmm. So I understand with okay, could it be with it's true and then doesn't like pretty guys?
No, no.
That's why they wanted Uti with their ceremony first and then have.
It's not a matter of criticals, but it's a matter of if Lorna is a Catholic, even after he passes away, probably he might be a Catholic. So just because of your Isithunywa, it doesn't mean another ancestor that is a Catholic doesn't want a Catholic church when a ceremony is done. Because remember, when we're doing a ceremony, we have to include everybody. The problem with people who are gifted, they tend to neglect their ancestors. Because you need to know what taught me when I was doing that ritual. What taught me is that you need to go back to your family lineage and understand. My great grandfather was a Catholic. My grandmother was a Catholic, was an Anglican, for instance. My aunt was a Zion member. So where does this gift of Isithunywa come from? It comes from my aunt who was a Zion member. But now when you're doing a ceremony, why are you neglecting that aunt, that great grandfather that was a Catholic? Why are you neglecting that great grandmother that was an Anglican? So it's okay for you in the midst of the ceremony or before it starts, you open a church service, and a Catholic one, you open an Anglican one, or depends, just to accommodate everybody. But my point is accommodate every ancestor, whether it's gifted or not, when you're doing the ceremony.
But now, how do I do that? Because I know with mine is more, it's true, is more on the Zion church part, right?
Yes.
But I grew up in a family, yeah, my Anglican.
But now it means.
So, but because of Isithunywa sign and my gift, and I'm being led to this Zion church type of, even though I'm not doing it from a church perspective as per se, but that's where my focus is mainly based. I don't want to lie, I haven't observed anything that.
No, you're not alone. We get to be consumed into this gift. We get to consumed into buying Amabai, praying with candles and all of that stuff. We forget that ancestor alone that has bestowed you with this gift is not the only. It's not the only church or it's not the only person. Yeah, some people. Yeah. Some people are Catholics. But again, anyway, it's a story for another day. So, do you have to go to church to enhance this too?
I would say not really. From my personal experience, I would say not. You don't really have to. You can observe certain church practices outside of church. Like you can wear whatever Isithunywa requires you to wear and go pray ehlane, go pray emanzini. Like for example, there are different types of Isithunywa. You know, like they different. So you would go where they lead you to also pray and say. So you'd sing whatever songs that they want you to sing, whether they are Zion or Catholic. It doesn't have to be inside a building.
No, true.
But outside nature works best. You just have to follow those practices that they guide you to follow. So I don't think you necessarily need to church per se.
No, you don't have to. You know what people don't understand. Even sometimes a church can be a toxic environment, where Isithunywa is not liberated, and where Isithunywa instead of working for you, Isithunywa is working for the pastor. So all your blessings are channeled or intercepted via the pastor. And tragic as it is, some churches do not talk about Shazalama. Seriously. So when you get into this building, umzimba wakho uthezeka amandla, isithunywa sakho sithezeka amandla, because of lapha kwepulpit kudensa iodokoloshwa bomama ugcina phana. Kanti abanye wagcina mhlawumbe kwi-wardrobe. But anyway, we're not there. But my point is, you don't have to go to church. And I'll tell you, you don't choose a church. Let Isithunywa sakho choose a church for you. Otherwise, ungabelwa nedlozi, especially some African spiritual churches, ezinye zithwele. So you need to guide your spirit carefully. You need to pray and ask, which church should I belong to? Because remember, you go to church, awusi wena physically, usisithunywa sakho, umoya wakho. So even if uyahamba kuloo church, funeka uhambe spiritually. Ungahambi wena umzimba ushiyeka umoya wakho ecaweni. But ke that's how it is. But in essence, you don't need a church unyanisile. But yeah.
But now, okay, so.
But what if you don't believe in God?
That is the truth. But that for me, one of my challenges, I believe in God, but in terms of the Bible, it was very hard for me. So it doesn't really answer the if you don't believe in God. But I don't necessarily believe everything that's in the Bible. Like I question a lot of things in the Bible. And with Isithunywa, then you're required to read the Bible a lot and pray a lot.
Yes.
So for me, it was a very big struggle. I would even go to a point where I would fall asleep, which is what I also want us to touch on.
Yes.
How does Ubuloma and Isithunywa relate? Because then I would fall asleep kakhulu because my Roma part of my gift didn't really want this Bible part. But now you have to read this Bible, and then people will ask you, but if I believe in traditional healing. And then I discovered that as you're reading the text, Isithunywa will show you certain secrets or certain revelations within the text that it guides you to read. So you don't just go read whatever you feel like reading, but it guides you to read certain texts and it reveals certain things.
Yeah, I like the angles and people, they don't know. When there's a difference between taking the Bible and just opening the Bible, then boom, there's your verse. There's a difference with being conscious, paging the Bible consciously. Okay, I want a certain verse. When you do that, paging the Bible, you are the one sometimes who is leading. But sometimes when you go in and page and just page the Bible and your eyes go straight to a certain scripture randomly, sometimes that's where it's too much of cool. Yeah, but sorry, yes, okay, partly atheist they struggle okanye umuntu ona-black consciousness because uthi umntu I can't be using iBhayibhile nakodwa our great grandfathers were colonized by them. Now when you're using that black consciousness, then you are missing the mark. You are living in the flesh, not spiritually. iBhayibhile, in fact in religion, it's a methodology to connect with Isithunywa. When I say it's a methodology, we all have things we love. We all do things that we feel connected when we do. It doesn't mean that thing is wrong or whatever the case is, but it means it's a methodology. Because we take up about the parents. Yeah. So for me, that whole thing in the Bible, it's a methodology. So you don't have to believe in God to have Isithunywa, but you've got to believe there's a higher power. And you've got to pray. You've got to connect religiously in order to connect with your guide, with your Isithunywa sakho. Especially Isithunywa sakho ba sibonisa is scriptures. Especially Isithunywa sakho if say religious. You have no choice. And you're not doing this because of God. You have seen Jesus or you didn't. No, you're doing this to connect. Now I'm that person, I might sound hypocritical. I'm that person. If my ancestor comes in believing in a Chinese God, I will learn about the God Chinese believe in. And then I will do everything necessary using their methodology to connect with that ancestor. Because I know when I kneel, when I do those things, my ancestor responds.
And it's quite interesting. And I wonder they want to box either Isithunywa or Idlozi, not realizing what It's universal spirit. I remember the one time one of my teachers asking me, "Oh, it's Isithunywa because you're one of those people, Mama meditation. They saying use this and this because you'll connect better with it." And but he said it very condescendingly, which it's not what he would prefer, but because it's what Isithunywa is saying I must do because it's what I'm doing. But so I think we can also not necessarily teach, but according to what we're comfortable with in the flesh, they also accommodate us. It's okay. Umntwana likes reading books. Instead of the Bible, then I'll just guide you to certain books to reveal certain things to you.
Yeah, you know what I wanted to touch on, probably I might be off rambling, I don't know. But what I wanted to touch on, as Africans, we do not have the monopoly in spirituality.
That's true.
We do not. There are Chinese. Chinese are the most powerful people as well in spirituality, in herbal medicine. We have your Indians. You have people in Asia, for instance. So you can have this Tunya, and this Tunya Saba directs you to go to Zion. But you can have a Chinese here that is practicing Buddhism or whatever the case is. You can have the people in Tibet that are practicing this and this and that. You have people in Asia. All those people have Isithunywa. Isithunywa, it's not an African thing. Prophecy, it's not an African thing. It's a spiritual thing. The methodology is African. The methodology is Asian. The methodology is Chinese.
But the spirit is universal.
The spirit is universal. That's why then we say African spirituality. Spirituality is not African. But the methodology, because of geographic nature, it's
African.
But yeah.
So now a lot of people get a bit confused with how do they now differentiate between Isithunywa.
It goes in a podcast live. I guess we're not alone. But anyway. That's
a good thing.
Yes.
So then how would we differentiate between the signs of Zobungoma and with Isithunywa? Because for example with me I used to sleep a lot at work. Imagine I'm at my desk and I am just dozing off.
The signs are almost similar. In fact, they are similar, but it's just that now to differentiate, you become pedantic. You go to the nitty gritties. So when you go to the nitty gritties, you find that when you dream, for instance, you will dream about amabayi, amakandlela, you will dream about water and other things. Especially the part of church regalia. When you start dreaming in that path, then that's where the differentiation becomes. Then you understand that, okay, I've been dreaming about church regalia, I've been dreaming about candles, the colors, etc. Then that's when then you have to say, Isithunywa and others. It's like when you start now dreaming about red beads, the church regalia, or not churchman, sorry, the Sangoma regalia that you see, then that you start noticing that, okay, it's bungo. It's like, for instance, in the Xhosa culture, or it's not even in the Xhosa culture, when you start dreaming, sometimes and other things, then that's when you start, okay, or in essence, and that's a differentiation. The differentiation is more in your dreams, because there are different signs to there are standard signs that are generated, but here and there we're different. We're receiving messages differently. Some people will dream better in church. Some people will dream praying and all the stuff. Then you understand, okay, I'm more stronger, okay, I'm more aligned. Less tune. Yeah, you can say. But I want us to wrap this up. It's part one. Yeah. Then we go to part two, whereby then we'll finish up with this tune.
Okay. Yes. Just to finish up then, in terms of emotions, I'm sure you're saying that you can differentiate the dreams that we get.
Yes.
And then emotionally, because you find about this too a lot. Sometimes
They are
you just
emotional
wanna
beings.
cry, they wanna scream.
I
I know with me a lot of times it would just be wanting to be alone most times. But sometimes noise would just get to me. And I just want to be alone most times and just be with my thoughts. And that you find that they would cry, and it's the same with Ubungoma or just differ.
It's the same, but the differences it's partly the same, but when you describe when it's Isithunywa more, it's exactly like each time.
Okay.
And you feel sometimes deep into depression, and sometimes you feel like you want to scream. Yeah, that's Isithunywa.
I thought you had gave.
No.
My tears are going.
The difference is little, but Isithunywa, yeah, hey. It will rubbish
Very
emotions,
emotional.
very, and also that's why Isithunywa. With this Isithunywa, you can pity energies very quick. And you don't need even to go to some to read. You just see up there. But don't understand that I don't want to lie. Isithunywa brings in the money. Isithunywa, yeah. Isithunywa sustenance. The problem with Mungoma, I'm not bashing Mungoma because I'm the Mungoma. Mungoma, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. With this Isithunywa, if it's done right, izinto zakho can flow. But yeyi umndawo uyakurabisha umndawo and akurabisha amna yasenda afuna ukuphatha
so
umndawo uyasokolisa more than isithunywa you like no
you flow.
High numbers, especially if you get the right person.
Would then that touch on how abantu then perceive ukuthi once you've done, once you populate to yourself, then life will just be free flowing, it will fix everything that was wrong in life, and you know.
Okay, look at Leo. Let's do it. We'll go back to guys. I would like to give thanks to Wonge Mlobugele. We're gonna be doing part 2 of Isithunywa to wrap everything up and touch everything in detail that we didn't touch. But yeah, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, Conversations with Kakini on YouTube, and also don't forget to listen to the audio on Spotify. I think it will be as well in Apple Music, but Spotify definitely it will be there, so you can listen to the audio as well. Please share, like our Twitter page as well. So yeah, let's spread the gospel. So in the comment section, guys, constructive criticism we welcome. Constructive criticism we do welcome. Your input will be greatly appreciated because Nati, we knew in this thing, this is the only second episode, so we want to improve. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Bye.